let's bring in newly announced candidate for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination as well. And that, of course, is former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. He joins me now. And, sir, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. Just last weekend, you made it official. You want to go up against former President Donald Trump. Why do you want to be president? Do you think you have a chance? What say you?
The issues that our country faces need the experience that I bring, which is head of the DEA, member of Congress that balanced the budget, a governor who solved problems, created jobs. And these are the challenges that we face in the future. And whenever you believe in America, you want to put your skills to work there. I also think it's important that we have a leader that appeals to the best of America and brings out the best of America versus appealing to America's worst instincts. And that's what I offer. I'm excited about this opportunity, whether it's the fentanyl crisis that we have, too much federal spending, having a more informed and productive energy policy, having America that is stronger on the global stage and leads the world in terms of freedom. That's what I think is important in this election cycle. And I think the Republican Party needs to have alternatives. And that's the reason I'm running.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was this Washington Post op-ed a couple of days ago by Jennifer Rubin, and the title was essentially, maybe you, sir, can fill in the void where Liz Cheney left off. And it cited what you had just said, that the people want leaders that appeal to the best of America and not simply appeal to our worst instincts. You know, what makes you think, though, America wants to get back to sanity, to rationality? Do you think American voters like all of the crazy?
Well, no, I don't, actually. I think they yearn for public service, yearn for someone who is looking out after the public interest versus trying to reap retribution on political enemies. That's not the epitome of public service. It's self-service. And so, yes, I think America wants that. Obviously, there's an element that likes chaos, that wants to disrupt things, and things need to be disrupted in Washington. But you can disrupt things, you can fight for our values without diminishing the respect of the United States among the world, and without diminishing the freedom and the opportunities of individuals. So yes, I think there is that opportunity there. I've been to Iowa, I've been to New Hampshire, South Carolina, California, on, and people are not raising, how in the world can you go against somebody like the former president? They're not asking that. They're asking about, what do you plan to do about inflation and high interest rates, economy that we're worried about? What are you going to do? What's your position on supporting Ukraine? This is what's on the hearts and minds of Americans. And of course, what leads all of this is our fentanyl crisis that's killing 100,000 of our young people every year. And I have experience as head of the DEA in addressing the challenges that we face.
Yeah. Let's talk about the former president, Donald Trump, if we could just briefly. He was arraigned in a lower Manhattan courtroom on 34 felony counts earlier this week. That was historic. That has never happened in the history of the country. You said this at the 2016 RNC convention about then candidate Donald Trump. You said Trump represents different kinds of leadership. He's exactly the kind of transparent, straight-talking leader America needs right now. The Trump presidency will be about the art of the possible. Donald Trump is the right leader for our time. What changed in your calculus of then candidate and then President Donald Trump? And what do you make of him now? Do you still agree with that?
Well, it was right at the time, absolutely. In 2016, he was certainly the candidate over Hillary Clinton, and he served our country well. And I actually, even though I disagreed on some points, I was chairman of Donald Trump's campaign in Arkansas in 2020. What changed, though, was his continued coarseness, his continued disbelief that he actually lost. It was how he handled things on January 6th. And so, yes, if you look at 2020, he lost to Joe Biden. 2022, we did not win the Senate, largely because of his invoking himself and picking candidates that couldn't win in November. And so if we're going to win in 2024, we have to have somebody that matches up differently. And so to me, it's about winning. And while I certainly endorse what I said in 2016, this is 8 years later,
right.
And we need to go a different direction.
Yeah. Well, depending on who that nominee is, if it is Donald Trump, would you still support him? Would you still support whoever the Republican nominee is going into 2024 against Joe Biden, possibly?
Well, I've always fought and supported the nominee of the party. Here in Arkansas, I helped build the Republican Party from a minority status to a majority status. But I believe there'll be somebody different that will be the nominee other than Donald Trump, even though he has gotten a bump most recently. So let's see how this develops. But obviously, I hope to support the nominee of the party. And obviously, I'm going to fight hard to make sure that I'm one of those choices.
Yeah. And you remember the 2016, 2015 presidential primary process on the GOP side. There were, what, 16 candidates. So a lot of, Republican critics had said at the time that, it was hard for voters to choose. There was no binary choice. It was not Trump or someone else. And that kind of weeded out many of those contenders. No one coalesced behind another candidate besides Donald Trump. Do you foresee that possibly happening again in the nominating process this time around?
I don't believe it will for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is not 2016. Donald Trump is a known quantity. And so it's going to be easier to measure his level of support and who else is running. Secondly, you want to have multiple voices in there now, but everybody's going to go through self-evaluation. We're going to look at how the voters respond to our message, who's got the best ideas. And so the natural process of winnowing the candidates is going to happen. And so there's not going to be as many as we had in 2016, in my judgment. It'll be a smaller field this year. I think it will narrow, and the voters are going to make those decisions. But you cannot pre-select in advance because you don't know right now who's going to be the best alternative to Donald Trump or who's going to match up best against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So give the voters a chance. It's going to be a longer process.
Okay. Let's talk about you and your campaign, though. What is the infrastructure like? I know you just announced last weekend. Is there staff in place? Is there fundraising in place? Give us an update on that, if you could.
Yes, we've built a team that was based upon my educational operation over the last 6 months. Some of those will be transferred over to the campaign that we just announced and will be formally announced in April 26th. So my campaign is 2 or 3 days, off the starting blocks. And so we're building that team. We have our field director in Iowa. We're expanding that. We're raising money. So we're doing what we need to do to build the right team to win.
Yeah. What about an official rally, official event, announcement? Is that in the works?
Yes, it's going to be April 26th in Bentonville. I wanted to make sure we had it in Arkansas. You're invited. We expect to have an incredible event where we talk more specifically about agenda items and the goals that I want to accomplish. And we want to have it in Bentonville because that's my home. That's where I first started practicing law. That's where I had my private businesses. So it's a story to tell about my family, my connections here, and my vision for the future.
Yeah, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but, there are primary debates coming up this summer. Some of them do have qualifications in the polls to meet a certain threshold to get on that debate stage. In the event that you don't reach that threshold, do you anticipate, staying in the race or dropping out? I know we're very, very early, but that is a very realistic likelihood for some of these candidates. But you want to be on the debate stage, right?
Well, sure, I want to be on the debate stage. I think it's important, and I fully expect to meet the criteria to be on the debate stage. We've had conversations with the RNC as to what that criteria would be. We're going to work very hard to meet all those objectives, to be on the debate stage, and I expect that to happen.
All right, I just want to make kind of a very sharp turn here because here at Live Now from Fox, we have been covering the really horrific tornadoes that have swept through parts of Little Rock, parts of Wynne, Arkansas. And Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, your successor in the office there, that's kind of been her first test as governor. Do you keep in contact with her? Do you have a working relationship with her? Do you offer her advice? How do you think her response has been to this?
Well, I do stay in touch with her as needed, and I'm pulling for her to be successful, both in terms of the legislative session, which she has done very well, but also her response has been immediate to the disaster that the citizens of our state have suffered because of the tornado. She's hands-on, she's there, and so I applaud those efforts, and I'm there, but she also has another former governor, her dad, Mike Huckabee, I'm sure she listens to every once in a while as well.
All right, former governor there, Asa Hutchinson, we always appreciate your time. Thanks so much for giving us a lot of it, and we'll be speaking again.
Thank you. We'll look forward to it. Have a good day.
All right, hope you enjoyed that conversation there here on Live Now. We hope to bring on some of these 2024 GOP primary hopefuls as the nominating process will get underway before we know it.